and read through those stack of papers. So she went to the man's office. She didn't just do eye service. She actually took those stack of papers. And what she says is that that weekend she didn't go out. She just read through all these papers. You know, many professors would have had the opportunity to go for lectures, conferences. So that's the stack of papers I'm talking about. And one of those papers had to do with technology transfer to African countries. And this was 1987. At this time, the discipline of intellectual property law was not what it was today. In fact, the coinage of IP law was not a thing. So she did the dissertation. She then, on the basis of that dissertation, applied to Harvard, got into Harvard for her LLM, then her JD and the like. But when she got there, what was more critical was there was no core area that she felt she was being called to do. While she was doing this, all her friends were going to the top law firms, but she really wanted to remain welded to this area of law. So she continued doing it. She was very poor for about 5 years. And sometime in 1993, if anybody follows IP law, there were the World Trade Organization rounds of 1993. And all of a sudden, IP law exploded. And they were looking for experts. And all of a sudden, she became the leading voice on that issue globally. Today, she's written the IP and copyright laws of, I think, about 15 countries who call her to consult. But what's the critical lesson there? The critical lesson there is that you have to stay true when there's no celebration. You know, a lot of people will tell you now that, oh, you know, you just go to LinkedIn, just talk about yourself, etc. But there's also a time for building, so that when the time calls and you're called for as it relates to what the substance is, you can speak to it. Now, the fourth point is about the fact that, and as many of you may know, the current debate is about whether AI is taking our jobs, and whether or not by a year's time Pamela will have a job, or AI will be doing the job for her. Some have said, well, are 5 truths, he said, that are critical. The first thing is not that innovative. The first thing is that there are old, battered paths that remain true today. Those old, battered paths are the paths of diligence, are the paths of integrity, and are the paths of character. And many of the times, those paths are formed in university. His point to you today was that what you're learning in class today on contract law and tort law is fantastic. But when you're going into your interview, nobody really cares whether you remember part number XYZ of NWLR law reports. What people are seeing is whether you imbibed the discipline to be able to stay with the law, to be able to stay with the books, to be able to find solutions. That process, not the results. Because it's that process we rely on when you come into practice. It's that process we rely on when there are novel mandates that are brought to us that nobody has done before. At that point, you are not going to say, oh, but we did not learn this one in school. It's about whether or not you imbibe those lessons of research, of diligence, of character that those were supposed to teach you. That's number one. Number two is, and I think I've repeated this quite significantly today, global standards. There is no place called global. Global standards the call to bar certificate you'll get when you're done with law school. The license to practice is continuous learning. And I'm actually glad that Mr. Tobena Arijekwe is in the audience today, because this was something he championed when he was at the NBA. And why is the license to practice continuous learning? What you learned when you were in school, before you're out, the Supreme Court may already have brought a new decision that changes the dynamic. You cannot be telling your clients what was news 20 years ago. It has to be continuous learning because there are new fields that are starting out even as we speak. We spoke about AI. There are fields relating to AI regulation that happen today. You cannot say, oh, I wish I went to school when they were teaching AI regulation. No. Contact Dodalo here. And he mentioned that one of the first arrests of a vessel in maritime law in Nigeria, he conducted that. Now, if anyone knows anything about maritime law, it is the case that those clients are international. So they will come to your locale and look for who understands and can perform at the same standard they're used to in the international global markets. So for you also, very much like my friend Temi Alufa, who's now at Harvard, is the case that, look, you have to determine for yourself whether you're going to be someone that when you leave here 5 years down the line, you'll complain that you went to an institution in Nigeria, or whether it's the case that you then have those global platforms. I think the final point I want to leave with you was a point by both Prof and another good friend of mine in the office. His name is Isaac Bikonle. He was a student union president here in OAU. And it was interesting, I heard in your song, Aluta, against all forms of oppression. But those oppression are not always government of laziness.
Keep clapping, keep clapping, keep clapping. Thank you so much for that powerful keynote speech. If there's any post and all of that, but this is what I will be tweeting. This government oppression. He was speaking. A couple of persons entered the Adeleke Law, Obafemi Awolowo University. Thank you so much, sir, for gracing us with your presence. Also, while the keynote address was going on, Mr. Kingsley Oga Esquire, YLF MBA Ile-Ife branch. He's a representative of the YLF MBA Ile-Ife branch. And he also came with Mr. Gabriel Ojeangbe Esquire, the assistant secretary, as well as moderators. So this is how we're going to do it. For every speaker and every participant in the panel, they take their seats. So very quickly, as I introduce each of our panelists, I'd like to call up so this is what I'll do. Oh, Mr. So-so-and-so is our panelist, and I'd like to bring up so-so-and-so to read his citation so that it makes it easy for every one of us. All right? Now, Professor Tunji Oyelade is one of our panelists. And please, can I have Timileyin Ladeinde? Please come up, be fast, be fast. Please take a mic as you're coming so that it makes this faster. For the
Good morning, ladies and gentlemen. My name is Timileyin Ladeinde. May I crave the indulgence of Professor Tunji Oyelade to rise as I read his citation. Professor Tunji Oyelade is a distinguished professor of law at the Faculty of Law, Obafemi Awolowo University, Ile-Ife, where he has dedicated over 2 decades to teaching, research, and mentoring generations of Nigerian lawyers. A respected scholar and thought leader, his expertise spans commercial law, corporate governance, and international business transactions, fields in which he has published extensively in local and international journals. A proud alumnus of Obafemi Awolowo University, Professor Oyelade has contributed immensely to the advancement of legal education and institutional reform, serving in several administrative and academic leadership capacities within and beyond the university. Notably, he also served as the Dean of the Faculty of Law at Elizade University, Ilaramokin, where he played a formative role in building the faculty's academic foundation, driving its early growth and establishing it as one of Nigeria's emerging centers of legal excellence. His leadership in both public and private legal education demonstrates his commitment to excellence, innovation, and institutional development. He is widely recognized for his mentorship, intellectual rigor, and dedication to nurturing young lawyers who combine competence with character. His influence extends beyond academia through professional training, continuing legal education, and policy engagement initiatives across Nigeria. At the Lawyered Empowerment Conference 2025, Professor Oyelade brings his wealth of scholarship and practical insights to the panel on career growth in an evolving legal lifelong learning in law. With a round of applause, can we please welcome Professor Tunji Oyelade.
Thank you very much, Timileyin, for that very brief citation. All right, up next, I'd like to bring up Dr. Tolu Adere. Is he in the hall? No, he's not. Okay. We'll move on very quickly. Our next panelist is Chinedum Robin Elion Emmanuel is coming to Chinedum Umeche. Robin Elion Emmanuel is coming up for the citation. A round of applause for him, please.
Good morning, everyone. My name is Robin Elion Emmanuel, and I'm here to read the citation of Barrister Chinedum Umeche. Chinedum Umeche is a partner at Banwo and Ighodalo, one of Nigeria's most respected full-service law firms, where he leads the dispute resolution practice group. He is a seasoned litigator and an arbitration specialist with extensive experience representing multinational corporations, financial institutions, and government agencies in complex commercial and constitutional disputes. As a graduate of the Ebonyi University and the Nigerian Law School, Chinedum has distinguished himself through his deep analytical skill, clarity of advocacy, and commitment to excellence in practice. He is widely regarded for his expertise in arbitration, commercial litigation, and regulatory compliance, and for his ability to bridge the gap between traditional dispute resolution and innovative, technologically-driven legal processes. Beyond his practice, Chinedum is an author, a thought leader, and a mentor to young lawyers. He frequently contributes to national and international discourse on access to justice, judicial reform, and professional ethics, embodying the values of diligence and innovation that define the next phase of the Nigerian legal profession. At the LAWYARD Empowerment Conference 2025, he joins other distinguished panelists to discuss career growth in an evolving legal landscape, offering practical insights on resilience, adaptability, and long-term professional success. Ladies and gentlemen, join me welcome Barrister Chinedum Umeche.
Thank you very much. Please keep clapping, clap very well. I'd like to bring up another member of this esteemed panel, and to read her citation, I'd like for Miracle Oyedokun to come up here. Ladies and gentlemen, our panelist is Pamela Ona.
Good afternoon, everyone. Good afternoon, everyone. I am Miracle Oyedokun, and I'll be reading the citation of Barrister Pamela Ona. Pamela Ona is a senior associate at Udo Udoma and Bello Osagi, UUBO, one of Nigeria's most respected full-service commercial law firms, where she plays a key role in the firm's intellectual property, technology, and media practice group. With extensive experience advising local and international clients, Pamela has built a reputation as one of the country's promising young lawyers in the field of corporate and commercial law. I believe this deserves a round of applause. With a bachelor's degree in law from Bournemouth University, Pamela's practice spans banking and finance, financial technology, general corporate advisory, and litigation. She has contributed to several groundbreaking industry reports and policy consultations that are shaping the future of fintech law in Africa. At the LAWYARD Empowerment Conference 2025, Pamela joins the discussion on career growth in an evolving legal landscape, sharing practical insights on innovation, adaptability, and professional excellence in a rapidly changing legal environment. Ladies and gentlemen, with a storming round of applause, please make welcome Pamela Ona.
Thank you very much, Miracle. All right, I would also like to bring up another panel member for this first panel session. So, ladies and gentlemen, to read the citation of Tobena Erojikwe, please put your hands together for Precious Okanume. Please come up for the citation reading. And then while she's doing that, let the person who is reading the citation for Folashade Abe get ready.
Good day, everyone. Standing before you is Precious Okanume, May I crave the indulgence of Barrister Tobina Erojikwe to rise as I read a citation. Tobina Erojikwe is a partner at the Law Crest LLP, one of Nigeria's foremost commercial law firms, and the immediate past chairman of the Nigeria Bar Association Institutes of Continuing Legal Education, NBA ICLE. Widely regarded as one of the leading voices on legal education, reform, and professional development, Tobina has played a pivotal role in redefining continuing legal education standards for lawyers across Nigeria. A graduate of the University of Nigeria, Nsukka, and the University of Westminster, he brings a blend of global exposure and local insights to his practice, which spans corporate advisory, commercial transactions, and regulatory compliance. During his tenure as the chairman of the NBA ICLE, he led transformative initiatives that enhanced access to practical training for thousands of young lawyers, integrating technology-driven learning models into the bar's educational framework. Beyond practice, Barrister Tobina is deeply committed to mentorship and innovation in law. He regularly speaks at national and international forums on legal practice management, professional ethics, and the future of work in the legal profession. At the LAWYARD Empowerment Conference 2025, he joins the panel on career growth in an evolving legal landscape to share his experience in shaping a smarter, more globally and competitive generation of Nigerian lawyers. Ladies and gentlemen, can we put our hands together as we make welcome Barrister Tobina Erojikwe.
Thank you very much. All right, seeing that this panel session is actually a spin-off of our keynote speaker's address, it would only be apt if our keynote speaker would also be represented here on stage. Now, very quickly, ladies and gentlemen, I'd like for you to put your hands together for Mr. Michel Agatise, Senior Advisor and Team Lead at all. A round of applause, please, ladies and gentlemen. Thank you. Senior Advisor and Team Lead at Olaniu Ajayi LP. He would be, of course, he's representing Professor Koinsola Ajayi, SAN, and he would also be representing him in the same capacity for this panel session. That said, can someone, please, just one person, I just want to hear one person clapping for the moderator for this panel session. Can someone please clap for the moderator for this? It was a trap, thank God. Ladies and gentlemen, to moderate this panel session, I'd like to bring up here very quickly the president of LSSOAU, Folashade Abe. A round of applause for her, please, as she comes up. Keep clapping, she's your own.
Thank you very much, everybody. So I think majority of you know me. I am Folashade, and I'm so glad my citation was not read because I gave strict orders. So I'll be starting the panel session, and I would like to crave your indulgence that if you have any questions, please write it down, but listen keenly because this is a power-packed panel session. You have heard your citation, and you have also heard the keynote speech, so please pay attention. So I'll be starting with our very own Professor Oyelade. Now, sir, having led and taught across both public and private institutions, you have witnessed firsthand the evolution of the legal education in Nigeria. In your view, what strategic reforms are necessary to align legal training with the rapidly changing demands of the modern legal practice, particularly in this era of globalization and technological advancement?
Thank you very much. Before I attempt to answer that question, let me commend the keynote speaker and the well-presented keynote address from Mr. Michel. I also found it hard to believe you're a man, judging from the name. And I also want to thank the coordinator of this program for bringing such eggheads in the legal profession. Well, to answer your question, like you said, I've taught all around, just like my colleagues here. One thing I find most intriguing, or most disappointing rather, is that we teach the same courses all over. Like I've been teaching for the past 24 years, and I teach the same course. I may not teach it the same way. I might have infused a little bit of technology, but largely we teach substantive law here. And I must tell you, even at the law school, a little bit of practice at the law school. What we teach you here and what they teach you at the law school is not enough to make you that kind of lawyer that you might wish to be. For instance, when some of us started practice some 33 years ago, we were open to small practice that are based basically on substantive law. Your normal contract, your tort, and all of that. But when you go to high street practice, which you find in Lagos, Abuja, and some other places, you find that what you have been taught may not be, not that it's not relevant, but it's not enough. You know, so we have 3 areas of focus for strategic reforms: the curricula, the pedagogy, and also structural reforms. Now, for the curricula, I'm not saying that we do away with those courses that we have known. They're still very relevant because that's the basic that you need in any law practice before you go professional or before you become a specialist. We need to infuse some of technology-driven courses into our curriculum. For instance, you have legal tech, you have cyber security law, you have international commercial arbitration or commercial law. You know, these courses may not be taught deeply as we take other courses. You know, but if we can give you the rudiments, it will prepare you to go out to meet whatever you want to meet outside. Then in the area of pedagogy, we're so used to the traditional teaching method. You have to come to class and harness it. You know, this is another. And then of course, the structural reforms would have to do with the law to meet the new infusions. You know, there has to be a restructuring of the law from the NUC and also from the CLE. Now, another area is, like you have these wonderful, brilliant lawyers here who know the nitty-gritty of specialization. We need to bring them from outside. We call it partnering with the lawyers in practice. You know, we can have a synergy with them to come in from time to time to teach some of these courses. And we can even have certification for our students before they graduate. I mean, I know of the fact that some people come to IFE to teach arbitration and other stuff, and they give certification. They give certificates to our students. So you need all of these things to make you the rounded person that you need to be. All right? And of course, if we're talking about AI or technology, the government must be ready to finance ICT infrastructure and development. We have electric problem in Nigeria, power problem. You know, you want to do a research, your mind is set on doing a research, and then you get to school, there's no light. And there may not be light for the whole of the day. And maybe your research is time-bound. What do? You know, the government must find a way, and the institutions. I'm always an advocate of the fact that universities should not be on the national grid. We should, that's why we're called a research center. We should build our own power, either with fossil, either with wind, or anything. Just have your own, you know, so that you won't be beholden to the government at all times. So these are a few of the things. It's basically about reform. You know, we can't continue to teach what we've been teaching. Unfortunately, in the academia, some of our colleagues don't know how to use computer, not to talk of AI. You know? So if you go to some places, some professors still have their old 1902 notes. They just, it's almost their nature. They can recite it to you off by heart. You know, but things have changed. And we must move with the time. I don't know if I've spoken.
You've spoken very well, sir. Like your last statement, things have changed and we have to move on with time. It's very timeless at this point. And we're very grateful for those insights.
Thank you.
So moving on, I'll be addressing my next question to Ms. Pamela. So Ms. Pamela, you operate at the intersection of technology, innovation, and commercial law, 3 areas transforming the way legal services are delivered. How do you see technology shaping the skills and mindset of lawyers? I mean, at least for us to remain competitive in the next decade.
Thank you very much for that question. And that is something I'm certainly very passionate about. Now, you must remember something as young budding lawyers and lawyers in the panel, in the audience. The lawyers that will thrive in the next decade are not lawyers that know where to find the law, how to quote the cases. They are lawyers that are adaptable, that are able to combine legal expertise with technological excellence. Now, where you see intersection, now I'll talk about three areas where you need to pay attention to. One is your skill set. Yes, legal expertise is great, but it's no longer enough for you to just know Microsoft Office, Word, and all that. No, you don't even need to be coders. You don't need to know how to program or code. But you need to be aware. You need to be, first of all have to master your craft, and then you have to be adaptable. You have to be you have to be very open to learning about new platforms. There are various legal platforms that have come up. First, we started with ChatGPT, but for lawyers, you have Spellbook, you have Kira, you have Copilot, you have Harvey AI. There are different legal tech software. I will say this to you, technology reward the curious. The more you try, if you sit down on ChatGPT, you will be very interested in the things you learn. The more you prompt it, in fact, I would say to you, if you prompt ChatGPT, okay, I need you to analyze what happened in, which case will I use now? Carbolic smoke ball, you know, the Khalil and Carbolic smoke ball case. It will give you a good analysis. And you won't believe me when I say to you, you can say to ChatGPT, you've not done well enough. you can do better. ChatGPT will bring you prompts there. And it will give you better for each time. In fact, you can tell ChatGPT, please don't be an olodo. Do better.
You're very right.
It's very interesting, and the more you learn, and the thing is this, you don't get that better results if you don't keep trying. And it is also now, every day I sit down and advise clients on fintech products. You have to understand tech platforms as a lawyer. It's no longer enough for you to just say, okay, I know how to use Microsoft or Excel sheet. You have to understand how platform works. You don't know who your clients are going to be tomorrow. It could be a fintech looking to launch a product, and it's like, oh, please tell me, like, this thing I want to do, can I do it? Your ability to come up with structures, that is where it's gold. It practices confidentiality. So you don't take your client's information and put everything on ChatGPT to say, oh, ChatGPT, this is my client's problem, solve it for me. What your client has given you is proprietary information. Your job is to protect their proprietary information, so you have to use AI ethically, any technology you are using. So law firms have advanced to a place where they are building their own tech in-house. They are building their own AI platforms because of this issue, because I cannot go on ChatGPT and say, oh, my client Access Bank, and put their details there. That is very irresponsible as a legal practitioner. So when you are looking to use AI, when your law firm hasn't built a wall to protect, because now we are building our own AI solutions to be able to allow us do what we want to do, generate first templates, provide an assessment, a summary of a 100-page document, and do so many things for us. You have to be very responsible. So say you are testing, you are helping somebody, please be very responsible about it. But always bear in mind, I say this to the aspirant. Yes, we have this problem in front of us. You can use AI and come up with ideas, but you know what? I want your brain, because I believe your brain can do better. So always remember that ability to use your brain, to be creative, to be able to adapt will come in very handy. So always remember that. I would say in closing that the lawyers that will stand out are the lawyers that are commercially aware, technologically empowered, and have the ability to solve problems. Remember that law is a business. So you must think in a way that is commercially driven, as well as mitigating the legal risk that your clients have in mind, so that you can solve their problems and they can do their business. After all, you are here doing business, they are here doing business, and your job is to ensure that they can do business without any problems. Thank you.
Very well spoken, Ms. Pamela. I would say you started with, like they say, curiosity kills the cat. But from your discourse, curiosity makes a lawyer better. So I would say to my budding lawyers, please be curious and be adaptable. That's the only way you can make a change. So to Mr. Tobey now, you led the MBA Institute of Continuing Legal Education through a period of real change. From that experience, what do you see as the biggest gaps in how young Nigerian lawyers are being prepared for today's evolving legal market?
Thank you for your kind words, Madam President. It's a privilege and an honor with such distinguished panelists, and indeed with yourselves. I'm happy to be here in Ife. In fact, I thank Toby Adebawale for inviting me, because this is the first time I'm coming to this university. And Michelle was right, very beautiful university. I mean, I grew up in the campuses of the University of Nigeria and Nsukka. So whenever I find myself in an environment like this, I always feel like I need to spend the night here so I can enjoy the scenery and the environment. Now to the question. And by the way, congratulations to LAWYARD. 10 years is remarkable. I mean, ever since I've known Toby Adebowale, it's always been about LAWYARD, and I'm happy.
How does
still
AI
kicking
impact
despite
industries,
traveling all over the world.
organizations, and the individuals
Now,
inside of them? As a strategy professor and researcher at
question that I will
KC
say
Business
to
School,
you,
this is one of the most
as
pressing
would-be
questions that I'm
colleagues,
currently exploring with my
is that
many
it's
fellow
important that you
academics from
understand
around the world.
that
In a business
you are
environment
about
where the pace
to
of
get
change
into
is so
a
fast,
really
where we're
difficult
all
terrain.
experimenting without yet clear answers,
And that's why I'm happy
academia
that I have
plays a key role
my
in
friends
bringing
here
rigorous scientific
who
backed
are
evidence to guide
speaking to you today
organizations
about
and help leaders
what
make the best
you will find in
decisions
real life.
given these new rules of the game.
I say it's very difficult
So what
because,
does
for
theory
instance,
tell us about
when
the
I
impact
left the
of
law
AI
school,
on
we
organizations?
had only 3,000 people
Economic
graduating
theory,
from law
in
school that
particular,
year.
provides
And
a
it was a
powerful
record.
framework to analyze
Today,
and grasp the
we're
consequences
going to have
of AI
10,000.
on
We
any
have 10,000 people
organization.
graduated this year.
This is the fundamental
That's admitted
notion
into the
of
profession.
complements and
So
substitutes.
the biggest challenge
Complements
that
are
I find in the
activities or
practice of law in
technologies that
Nigeria
become more
is first the
valuable
number of
when
people
used together.
that become lawyers
Substitutes,
every year.
by contrast, are
And the reason
activities
why
or
I find this
technologies
particularly
that
challenging
replace each other.
is that there ought to be a
Complements and
huge
substitutes
synergy
are essential
between the
to
classroom,
understand
as
how to
Professor
leverage
said,
AI for
and
competitive
real-life
advantage
practice.
at the level of your organization.
And the biggest challenge
Here's the baseline.
that I found,
Yes, adopting
before
AI
I started
is a
all the work
must-have,
I did in continuing
but the mere
professional
adoption of
development
AI
in
is
Nigeria,
not a
I'd
question
already
of
practiced in
competitive
England for 10
advantage.
years.
It's a question
And
of survival.
Something happened to
In
me
5
whilst
years,
I was in
all
England.
of your
I think
competitors would have jumped
I
on the
started
AI
out first of
bandwagon.
all
If you
as
have
a
not,
contracts and
you will
property
be
lawyer,
out of this game.
and then I moved on
If you
to
are one
urban
of the
regeneration,
pioneers in
commercial,
AI adoption in
and
your
then
market,
urban regeneration
well
finance.
done. Being
And
an early
that was me
adopter requires
pivoting from
vision,
one area
courage,
of law
and
to the
creativity.
other and to the other.
It gives you what we
And I
call
learned
a
at that
first mover
point
advantage.
that
Today,
the skills
thanks
that
to
I had
AI,
were easily
you make it
transferable.
more efficient,
And now when
more
people talk
productive,
about
and deliver
specialization,
better quality
it only
for your
had to do with
clients.
exposure. And I
But as your
imbibed
competitors
a
jump
lot
over
of
the
things
AI
around the way
bandwagon,
practice
one
is
after
structured in
the
England.
other, your first mover
And one of the
advantage
things
is
I
likely to
found
erode.
missing in
Because
the
best
system in
practices
Nigeria
do diffuse
is
over time.
what I
Because your
term
competitors get access
an
to the same
adequate
AI solution providers. And because working
post-education
with AI
qualification
will become the
regime.
norm, just as
And when
working
you
with a
talk about a
computer became the
post-qualification
norm 30
regime,
years
there
ago.
are two things that are
So how can you
essential.
leverage AI for real,
One
sustainable,
is
competitive
your
advantage?
pupillage or training
That's where the
contracts
notion of complements
or
is key.
whatever system you call it.
AI
So for
will be a
instance,
source of sustainable competitive
in
advantage for
countries
your
like
organization
England, it is
if and
actually
only if
understood
it works as a
that
complement
the training
to the core
that you have
resources and
at the law
capabilities
school
that make you
or at the
unique,
university
that make you
is not
stand out
adequate
from your
for you
competitors.
to do anything.
And that's not
And
something
so,
that I find
for
particularly
instance, if you
exciting
qualify as a
strategy
solicitor
scholar.
or
Because
you complete
it's
your
a
legal
unique
practitioner's
opportunity
course,
for every
you
organization
then get into
to go
a
back to
firm
asking themselves the
to do
core
a
strategy
2-year period
questions.
of training.
What makes you
And during
different?
that period,
What
you
is
do
unique about your
different seats.
organization which gives you an
Now,
edge
when
over
I
competition?
left
What is the key
Nigeria
source of your
and
competitive
was
advantage?
studying for my qualification
These
with
seemingly
the
old
College of
questions
Law, now
are
the
more
College University
important
of
than
Law.
ever in the age
I
of
found
AI.
that the courses I had to do were
So let's
fundamentally
get
the
more
same
practical
as the
here.
courses I did in
What does it
Nigeria.
mean for the legal industry?
But when I went
As a law
into
firm,
practice,
what makes you different
those
maybe
courses took
domain
a different
expertise.
color completely.
You build deep knowledge
every
in
other
specific
thing
types
you
of
did
matters or transactions.
was what you had to practice
Your
in the
creativity.
field.
Sometimes
But that
the best solution is
around
not
all
the
of
standard
that,
answer from
around
the books.
everything that we do as
You think
lawyers,
out of the box to design
that
the
the
best solution for
foundational
your
courses
client's
that we
toughest
did,
problems.
contracts,
Your
property,
client relationships,
company,
not only your client network,
evidence,
but your
were
ability
the
to understand their
basis
story,
for us to practice
anticipate
law.
what they need,
So,
and to earn their trust by
this
standing with
huge
them through their
gap
most
in
critical challenges.
post-qualification training.
So now,
and
what
in
about
continuing
AI?
professional
Does AI
development
complement or substitute
trainings
these different resources and
is what I
capabilities you
find
have?
missing
First,
in
domain
the system in
expertise.
Nigeria.
There is a part
What
of domain
I have
expertise
said
that
to
is at
young
high risk
people
of substitution.
is that
AI
don't
does indeed
need to
replace
wait
part
for
of
the
the
system to
knowledge search and
correct
the
itself.
information retrieval work.
You must correct itself in your
You've
favor.
all experienced this
So
already.
the choices that you
Routine
make
tasks,
from day
searching for
one
precedents,
are the
screening
things that shape your
contracts,
career
reviewing standard
going forward.
clauses,
I
summarizing
mean,
case
Toby
documents.
talked about
GenAI
relationships,
makes
my
it
relationship with him,
faster,
for instance.
cheaper, and
And I'm sure
accessible
the
to
relationship he
almost
has with every other
anyone.
person on the panel.
This part of domain
But
expertise
that is
will
key.
be automated.
I
But
think
you've
it's
also
important
experienced the
that
other side.
we know
In the
that
middle of
these gaps
drafting a
are there.
contract, you
The
notice
closest
that
thing
an
you
essential
have
clause
to
is missing,
a pupillage in Nigeria
or you
is
catch a
your
sentence that
externship.
should never
And I
appear
find
in
that the
that
people who
context.
come to extern in
You
my
see
firm
it immediately,
come around the time
even when an algorithm
that
does not.
they're about to take the exams
This
at the
is
law school.
expert judgment.
So it's obvious
This
to me,
expert
even
judgment is built through
supervising them,
experience,
that they're
through
not,
doing the hard work and
their
reflecting
minds are
on
not
it.
there, they're not picking up
And
anything.
this expert judgment is
So
the
the moment
complement
they
to
get
AI.
into the field,
In many of your
that's when
firms,
they start
that
to learn
judgment lies
about legal
primarily in the
practice.
head of senior
And
lawyers and
fundamentally,
accountants.
unfortunately, the
Second,
10,000 of
creativity.
you that will graduate
To a
into the
certain
market
extent, creativity
will not
is
find
recombination,
enough
taking existing
people
ideas
with the
and
right
combining
training,
them in new ways.
with the right structures
In that sense, yes,
help you
GenAI is
grow.
creative.
But I think your own
But
task
boundless
is
creativity
to
without
start now
relevance is
to
just
distinguish
noise.
yourself
AI
even
can
in your
produce
classroom.
50 arguments
To understand
without telling you
that there's in the
search for
capital
it
markets
frees
or
up time
with
for you to
fintech
focus on
was
clients,
something
on
like
your
rocket
ability to
science.
listen, to
It's only
translate
rocket science
complexity,
because
and
you haven't been
advise
exposed to
effectively.
it, you don't know
Trust
it.
is not automated.
So I will encourage
Trust is
you
earned,
to
and it is earned by humans.
find yourself
And this is
in the
not
right
just
places
intuition. This is
where
supported
the
by
things that
research.
meet your
Recent
aspirations
studies show that people
are
consistently
available, where
discount
you have
communication
people
when
with
it comes
subject
from
matter
GenAI rather
knowledge
than a human,
and exposure
even when
to do
the
the
content
things
of the
that
message
you want
is
to do.
identical.
So two critical problems:
And we start
the
seeing this
absence
in the
of
business context as well.
pupillage or
For
tutelage
instance,
system.
the fintech company
So it is for you
Klarna had to reverse
as the
its
student
transition to
to
GenAI
work
customer
your way
service
even now.
because
Start looking
customers
at the kind
prefer
of
to talk
firm
with
that
humans.
you want to work in. Start looking
So
at what
what
their
do these
requirements
complements
are.
to AI have
Start
in
working
common?
hard to make sure you find
They all
yourself
rely on the human
in
touch.
that space.
They live in
And then
expert
secondly,
judgment,
and most
non-codified
importantly,
expertise that come from
is that
experience
whether we have a
and
good
social
continuing
skills.
professional
The ability to
development regime or
connect,
not,
to understand
you
and
must
interact
be
with not only your
inquisitive, you
clients,
must
but all
continue to
parties
find
involved.
places where
Because
you
the
can
legal
train,
industry is a
equip,
human
and develop
capital
yourself.
intensive
Thank you.
industry.
Thank you very
Your
much.
main
Please
asset
clap for
is your
him.
people.
Like,
Both the
I
individual,
do it, and if I can say,
as you
just
all know
clap
very
it
well,
for you. Clap it a
individuals,
little bit.
lawyers,
But you
are
have
at the very
spoken
center
well,
of this
sir.
industry.
And I would
So
say
what
that
does
it's
AI
in
mean
events
for
like
you,
this that we get to
individual?
learn,
Integrate
and I think
GenAI
that
into
the
your
students
daily
here
work
will take
to
it into
understand
practice.
where it
There
helps,
would
where
be
it
a
does not,
change, and
when to rely
they will
on
be as
it,
flexible
when
as
to
possible
override it.
right now. So
You
thank
all
you
need
very
to become
much, sir.
proficient with
So I'll
GenAI
be
because
moving on
that
to
is
Mr.
just
Mitchell.
the new standard way
I
of
know that you're
working.
representing Mr. Coyne.
Second, the
this
complement and
question is just
substitutes
like
framework
snippets
also
from the
applies at the
keynote
individual
speech.
level.
So in an
Some of the
era
skills
where
we
the
use
best
today
lawyers
are
not
substitutes to
those who
AI.
know,
This will lead
but
to
those who are known
automation.
for what they know,
But all the
how
skills
should
are
young
complements
lawyers
to AI.
strategically build
Expert judgment,
visibility
climate
and thought
relationships,
leadership
negotiation,
without
and
sacrificing
advocacy.
substance,
Focus on developing
credibility,
those
and
skills that
integrity?
complement AI.
Good question.
Focus
And
on
thank you very
AI
much.
augmentation.
So for me, I don't think
The rise of Excel spreadsheets in the 80s provides an insightful parallel.
or the
Before
other.
Excel, much of accounting work was
with
manual
thought
bookkeeping.
leadership,
Writing
very
numbers
quickly,
into
people
boxes,
know
check
those who are and those who actually have. So very quickly, people know those who are noisemakers and those who actually have substance. Now, personally, my approach and what I always ask people to do is to focus on building substance. Now, if you're someone who builds on substance, so let's take something very basic, say contract law, for example. It seems like it's not AI, it's not something new, right? Everybody knows contract law. But if you say to yourself that as a young lawyer, as a student, I want to be known as the best person in contract law in Nigeria at my level, what it means is that not only are you studying what everybody has studied, you're looking out for the latest articles on that matter. You're looking at the latest English judgments on that matter. You're looking at the latest Commonwealth judgments on that matter. Now, if you're doing those things, more times out of none, it's the case that you begin to identify gaps in what is being put out there. So much so that when you write, either on LinkedIn or you're invited to conferences or you speak, when you open your mouth to speak, people know that this person is loaded. Because you're not just talking about what everybody knows. You're not a noisemaker. So it's important, yes, to ensure that you try and build a reputation for something. But I think it's more important that you try and build the substance. Because also one thing I found in this profession thus far is that oftentimes platforms will present themselves. And once platforms present themselves, and forget that one, just to make noise, doesn't know anything, right? And to get yourself out of that situation, out of that reputation, it's almost impossible because it follows a lot of people throughout their career. Thank you.
Okay, thank you very much, everyone. Let me start by saying that this is my second time in Ife. I was here, yeah, and he said, oh, it's across the road. I said, okay, bring me in, and as we drove into the gates and through the driveway, I was amazed at the beautiful environment. And like I said to the prof, it's the best university environment I've seen. In Nigeria, at least. Yes. So it's good to be back here, and I thank Toby for organizing the program. Writing is very important, obviously. For me, it comes a bit natural because I grew up in a university environment, and both my parents are or were university lecturers. So, you always saw them writing, and so it came natural for me. The first article I published was in 2008, and it was inspired by the criminal law lecturer in the law school who was teaching us about the powers of the Attorney General of the Federation and the state, and was making the case of how those powers could be abused, because as you know, the Attorney General is also doubles as the Minister of Justice, and therefore sometimes these political leanings could interfere in the exercise of his office as and the sentiment was that some persons who were there shouldn't have made the list. It's interesting to note that this article was published in 2008, and just 3 or 4 weeks ago, I had the privilege, I'll say, to sit next to the Attorney General of the Federation in the plane to Abuja, and firstly I was excited, but I started a conversation with him, and we went on and on and on and on, and eventually he asked me to send that article I spoke about to him. Two things. When you write, the other said, brilliant and hardworking lawyer wanted, 5 years experience. I just finished NYC in Benin City, and I didn't think I was qualified, but my colleagues encouraged me to apply. And by that time, I had published this article. So when I got to the reception, the lady said to me, oh, is this man still interviewing people? You know, apparently there had been series and series of interviews. So I waited for the SAN, and eventually he interviewed me, and I left. 1 month after, I was called to say that I got the job. And when I would speak to him later, he said to me, oh, one of the reasons why he thought why he liked me and then offered me employment was because I had written an article. And in his mind, you know, to write an article, you need to have an analytical skill, analytical brain, okay? And so that got me that first job, is the point I'm making. Of course, Mr. Youtube loved me, even if I say so myself. But the point is, I worked there in October, and by February, he gave me a brand new car. Again, because of that skill, the writing skill. I wrote an interesting brief of argument. It had to do with the case of Senator Ibukule Amosun and the president of the Court of Appeal. I think the case is reported. And in that case, we made the office of the president of the Court of Appeal is different from the president of the Court of Appeal sitting as a justice of the Court of Appeal, you know. So the point is, you need to write, whether it's in writing articles, whether it's writing your brief of argument, and it doesn't take so much to write. You just need a few times or a few moments of reflection. You can start with the easy ones, your blogs in the faculty, your newspaper. How did I know Funke Aboyade? Because I used to write for This Day, you know, and one day I met her, and she would take a picture of me and put it in the This Day front page, you know. So, you know, then exceeding the boundaries of your faculty. So I encourage you to write. For me, it got me my first job outside of NYC. It got me the opportunity to speak to the Attorney General of the Federation many years later. Now I have his personal direct line, and I'll be needing him very shortly, by the way. I'm sure you know what I mean. It gives you an opportunity to speak to people on areas of interest. When I wrote the article on that was published in the Arbitration International, it had to do with an arbitration that we were doing. We were acting for a government agency, and we realized that one of the arbitrators had worked for that government agency, and so we felt that he was biased, so to speak. And I don't know if you take arbitration in the undergraduate faculty, but the Arbitration Act precludes or you know, disqualify them, as it were, from hearing a matter. And this particular arbitrator did not do that, and so we challenged his appointment, and he had to resign. And so I thought about what circumstances could make a person disqualify himself from being an arbitrator. Should you disclose? When should that dealt with the matter? This particular SAN, his brother-in-law was a director in the company that appointed him as an arbitrator, and he did not disclose. You know, so I went to town, I did research on English law, Australian law, so I compared common law jurisdiction, and then came to the conclusion on how to inspire you to put down something and put it out there for the global audience. And so, like Michelle said, you can sit down in Ife, in Abakaliki, in Enugu, wherever, and write something for a global audience. You know, so I'll encourage you all to do that, and I think that's my small contribution. Thank you very much. From your lips to God's ears.
Okay, thank you very much. So my question is that I already find it so complex. It takes a lot of time to actually like complete the curriculum that you're already giving. As for now, I'm in part 2. I have 5 courses, and I have to study those courses and, you know, give my lecturers what they want of me. I want to like have those skills. How do I balance this? How do I balance that? And how do I make the mark that I want to make when I have these basic things that I have to sort out that I'm still struggling to sort out? So that is my question.
Okay, thank you for your question. I can understand how you feel. We've all been there. But one thing I will say to you is, in terms of learning, see, you must find time. Okay? Most firms are very attracted to well-rounded lawyers. Okay? And you have to start learning that, I don't know if to say balance or harmonization. Now, that is a skill set. So, yes, you have your work to do. But mind you, this same tech that you don't have time to learn can also help you with your work. And so you must find time one way or the other. And there are some websites that have courses. Some are free, some are paid. If you can afford to, you can take those courses to help you. So you have, there is Linda, there is Udemy, there is the Harvard edX. They have some courses you can audit if you can't pay for them. And so you can only audit them and go through it. You won't be able to write the exams. But if you do want a certification, you have to write the exam, so you have to pay for it. There are various there are even Nigerian websites. I know, like UTiva, they do like courses sometimes. Also watch out for opportunities. There are various opportunities that do sponsorships for young lawyers that can sponsor you, or for students that you can leverage to train yourself. So even if it's 2 hours during your weekend, or during courses don't last long, they're about 3 weeks, 4 weeks, max 6 weeks. During your vacation, you have up to 3 months of break, no? That's plenty time. So beyond internships, say you were doing an internship, you can also take these courses and build your skills. So don't feel like you can't do it because of your course. It's a harmonization. You have to find a way to harmonize that life, okay? Because you will need to know. When I started going for interviews for NYC, the advisor said, hey, what tech tools do you know how to use? I'll say, oh, I can use Word, presentation, Excel, publication, different. I was naming even the ones that were for accounting. The guy was like, Pamela, calm down. You don't need these extra accounting tools. You need to know the law ones. And you need to know, for example, if there are, sometimes the MBA sponsors students for Law Pavilion AI, you can start learning to use those tools now. Yes, some of them are very expensive beyond your reach, but courses, there are certain courses, free courses, always look out for, always be on the lookout, and also just make time for yourself. Even if it's 2 hours a week, if you count it in a month, that's 2 times 4 is 8 hours you've dedicated to learning.
Yeah, just to add, right? Where is the young lady? Is that you? I mean, you've touched on something that I think is very important, and that is time. Time, you know, and I think as a young person, one must understand time and what time means. I always say that time is a wasting asset diminished by time itself. So you're chasing after time all the time, and it appears to be running away. But what Pamela has said to you is that, I mean, I would have said you don't have an option but to find the time. But I would say, yes, everybody has an option. But it is what makes the difference. So I put it this way. You have 5 courses to do, and it's quite a load. It's only a load because it's 5 courses. If it was 2 courses, it would be a load. If it was 7 courses, it would be a load. So, you'll probably be interviewed by people around here. And they're going to be asking these questions. So she's literally telling you, if you don't find the time for this, I'm not going to hire you. And by the way, it's one of the things that I find very strange. So I was at this continuing professional development session in Nnewi, and a professor had been told to speak about AI. And the chap is speaking to the people in the room, and it's obvious to me that he's talking over their heads. I think we must demonstrate more than we talk, because things are not as complex as we think. You know, if I want to talk to you about AI, I'll probably find a projector and I'll go on ChatGPT, and you're seeing exactly what it works like. And you're seeing the magic and the beauty of the magic, right? So just applying yourself and enjoying the beauty of it, because that means that they are inevitable, you must have them. Thank you.
Sorry, I just want to add one line. One thing I remember also from university is that you also have to make a decision as to what you want to use your time to do. So the other day, I recall that there was a time in university, a few friends and I, then it wasn't Instagram, TikTok, we had BlackBerry Messenger. I don't know if you guys know what BB is. And it was very addictive. We used to call it Crackberry. And there was a time that I just had to put my BlackBerry in my drawer, and for 3 months, I didn't touch it. I was using a phone that didn't have access. Sometimes when you eliminate those things, you recognize how much time you actually have. Because as I said, once you master it now, as you continue, it's going to be more. When we're sitting down, Pamela was reviewing memos. I'm sure she has 5 other memos to review on different areas of law just today. So when you said 5 in a term, not to discount it because I was there and I know how difficult it was while I was in uni, but I wish for those times, because I feel like I wish I had that much time now. So it's a skill you must learn.
Good afternoon, everyone. Good afternoon to the distinguished. All right. My question is on commercial awareness. So, though I asked, however, since our panel is filled with top players from leading commercial firms in Nigeria, I would welcome contributions from any of our distinguished panelists. So, I've come to find out that commercial awareness happens to be like a skill that every lawyer must have. But we don't really get to know how exactly do you gain and build commercial awareness.
Maybe I'll just say one line beforehand. Read outside of the law. So subscribe to things like Financial Times, The Economist, Guardian UK. They have a column. There are people that write on these issues. When you're watching TV, watch Bloomberg, watch BBC, watch CNN. Even channels, wait for the stock market news, the business news. Don't just say, oh, they are done with the news because you've seen the gory details. That is how you actually get commercial awareness. Because commercial awareness is not like someone will grade you. It's just conversation. Someone asks you, what do you think about the new IPO? You have something to say about it. They see that you're commercially aware.
So, I mean, I reckon this is like asking people how to have some financial knowledge, you know, do your banking, buy your house, do everything. We live in a commercial world, and Michelle is right? Yes, and know the things that are happening every day. In Nigeria, your business day is a newspaper to read. Every newspaper has a column that has to do with economics or has to do with business. But literally, I mean, if you live in Nigeria, today's Nigeria, and you're not commercially aware, I wonder what you are. Because you must be forced and driven to know why certain things happen. Somebody who lives in a place like England, America, doesn't have to understand megawatts and electricity or the price of fuel, why it's going up and down. So just thinking about all those things that have to do with money, with business, with life, makes you develop a commercial mindset and a commercial awareness, a mindset for profit, for business, and so on. Thank you.
Okay, my people, let us break it down further. I am standing on existing protocols of my fellow learned panelists. And see, listen, everything you do as lawyers is because then go and follow Premium Times on Instagram so that when your news is loading, go and follow your news is loading, go and follow CBN, go and follow the Nigerian Deposit Insurance Commission, because you know all of you here have bank accounts. Tomorrow, when they change the limit of how much insurance you can get on your account, so that when the bank folds up, you know, okay, oh, if I kept more than 5 million in the bank, I only get up to 5 million. You must know. You cannot know if you are not following NDIC. Go and follow NERC. Go and follow all your regulators. Go and follow the news. Follow NTA, AIT, channels. If you cannot afford Premium Times, don't worry. There is Arise News. There is channels. There is TVC. Go on YouTube. They have live streaming. You go and watch the news. They will do the economic segments, the capitalization of the market, which stock is performing. If a scandal comes out that one of the directors in UAC did something and the shares drop, you must know what is the correlation. And it is in watching those capital market segments on channels that you can understand, you will learn about, you can hear a word, you don't even know what it means. Take note, go and check for it, because that is how you begin to build your legal vocabulary. Because as a capital markets lawyer, as a fintech lawyer, as a banking and finance lawyer, as a private equity lawyer, as a mergers and acquisition lawyer, as a litigation lawyer, as an arbitration lawyer, as any kind of lawyer, aviation, telecommunications, you will face these problems. And you being just passed this regulation yesterday, this is how it will affect you, MTN or Airtel. So what I will advise you to do is to, in the way I read that regulation, this is where you come in, go and get this approval, or you know what, restructure your business this way so that you can meet here. Okay, some of you are applying austerity measures. We know it's in our time, we did it. So there are all those free websites that you can sign up to. All the things that is going on in the tech sector. Say, for example, you sign up to Tech Cabal, for example, to Nairametrics, they will send you the stuff, you know the stuff. This is how you build commercial awareness. Don't be oblivious to the things that are happening around you, because everything that's happening around you affects your life one way or the other. Okay? Thank you.
Just to add, I mean, they have said it all, but I would say be aware of everything and be deliberate about it. I didn't used to watch football, but when I started practicing law and business development became part of my, appraisal, I had to start watching football, and know when the transfer news is open, who is playing for what, and who is winning the Premier League. I never used to do that. I also travel far and wide. I've been to the ends of the earth, whether it's Nigeria, anywhere. So you find somebody from Maiduguri and you tell him you've been to Maiduguri, and he looks at you differently and he warms up to you. You probably say a few Hausa words. I've been to Ofa, I've been to all the southwest states, I've been to everywhere. And people warm up to you when they realize that you've been to their part of the world. And that's one way of warming up to people and building new clients and getting people to trust you. I also try to know a bit of everything, whether it's medicine. I mean, in these days of medical law, if you met a doctor and you said one or two medical words, he will warm up to you, and you think of it differently. So it's a full package. Commercially aware, yes, but everything happening around you, you should have a bit of knowledge about it. Thank you.
Well, I don't have much to say because I'm the odd one out. They're all business people, though lawyers. I'm an academic. I'm in the academia. Now, what I would just tell you is that you need mentorship. It's not what they have said now that will build you, but you need to see people like this to mentor you. When we started practice, like I said, 3 years ago, we met soul practice. Soul practice. And that was what was inculcated in our heads. We just went to start soul practice. Good. All those things. The law has gone beyond that. If you really want to make money, you need mentor. So you should watch out the kind of firm you go to. That people will meet me and say, Prof, we want this person to be in your firm. I said, look, don't let him be in my firm. I have friends in Lagos, senior advocates of Nigeria, people who have built strong partnership that can sustain them. I mean, that can even go beyond them. These are the kind of firms that you look forward to. There you find good mentoring, and then you'll be able to make good of yourself in legal practice. Thank you.
I have a question. Okay. My question will be to the last panelist. Okay. Okay.
Hello? Oh, okay, this is better. Thank you. Our second keynote address will be taken Business School, Spain. I mentioned earlier that she's not in the hall. Thank you so much. I owe you something, actually. You are the most active participants in today's conference. A round of applause for her, ladies and gentlemen. But she's not in the hall because she's not in Nigeria. However, we've been able to tape her session, and so it would be a video presentation that will be brought to us very, very shortly. She'll be speaking to us about innovation and the law, crafting the path to sustainable transformation. Now, as I mentioned, this keynote has a video presentation, so it would require that we pay rapt attention. Please, your pens and your notepads are very important for this session because she will be sharing quite a number of key points, considering the fact that she'll be talking from the strategy perspective, how you can use strategy, to align yourself career-wise in this ever-changing landscape of legal and digital conversations. While we are waiting, is it ready? Okay. While we're waiting for that to be put together, I'd like to quickly, very, very quickly, take a detour. As we are putting that together, let's take a quick detour. Now, apart from panel sessions that will come up immediately after this second keynote presentation, there's something very important that we'll also be addressing here today. And now, LAWYARD organized an essay competition, and some people came out as winners, right? And where was I? Yes, we'll be celebrating the brilliance of the people that won the LAWYARD essay competition. We'll also take a look at, we're going to also be unveiling something very important here today in celebration of 10 years of LAWYARD, not only as an organization, but in practice, always constantly ensuring that lawyers have access to information that would upgrade them and would help them, as well as providing legal services for both individuals and businesses. That said, ladies and okay, I think out this technical glitch. For that reason, I'm bumping up the presentation of awards for the essays. And so, ladies and gentlemen, to do that with us, because we'll first do the presentation of our awards and then we'll come back to this video and the next panel session, because the second panel session is hinged on this video, and I wouldn't want us to, put the cart before the horse. However, I can bring up something else on the program to Lolade Tijani. A round of applause, a round of applause, a round of applause. Thank you for bearing with me, ladies and gentlemen. We seem to be having a little bit of technical glitches, and so it has kind of thrown a kink in the works, but we can bounce back, right? So to handle the presentation of awards for the essay competition, please put your hands together for the founder and convener, LAWYARD, Mr. Toby Adebowale. as it comes up here, and then we'll be calling the winners up here, one after the other, for their presentation.
Thank you. Apologies for the inconvenience, the efforts, and the responsibility for the glitches will come to those who have put this together. And so I take personal responsibility for all the glitches, and I apologize deeply for all of that. Now, regarding the essay competition, before I just announce the winners and then call on the winner for the student category, who I believe should be here with us, the winner for the young lawyers category had to bear with that. I was just going to mention that we started this in 2019, shortly after Davise passed, because he was passionate about privacy and data protection. And we thought of something we could use to, one, preserve his memory, and then at the same time, number two, be able to help create new experts, raise new voices, and help groom a new generation of professionals who are adept at an emerging area of practice. And that's why we started the essay competition. And I'm very grateful to Duale Ovi and Alex Adedipe. They has contributed immensely. We've had the privilege and the sheer luck of having a whole lot of other people join us. And so this year we have Tech Hive Advisory, which has also been helping to organize the event, the competition all along. We have Credit, we have Privalex, we have Morum Africa, and Banwa Nigodalo joining us, as well as the Lawcrest LLP joining us to contribute to the cash prizes. And so for the winners of the essay, which I know a lot of the participants who are watching now have been looking forward to hearing the announcement. For the young lawyers category, as second runner-up, we have Kobindi Kelsin Emmanuel, who is watching online. We also have, as the first runner-up, Chijioke Uchia Konam. And then for the top prize, the winner is Abduganiu Olayinka Abduganiu. Abduganiu works with Olaniwun Ajayi, the same law firm where keynote speakers come from, and we've sought the indulgence of the keynote speaker's representative, Mitchell, to help us hand over his prize to him, and we'll do that. So I'll just move on to announcing the winners for the law students category. Starting again from the rear, the second runner-up is Obeta Ruth Oluchi. For the first runner-up, Patrick Chiamaka Christabel. And then the winner of the top prize for the law students category is Mujibat Moyosore Idris. And so, Moyosore, please come forward. We are very happy and very excited to have the winner. So, thank you so much for coming, Ma. And I'm going to step aside a bit for Moyosore to give us a short overview of the essay she wrote. As part of what we are doing, which is raise new experts in this field, we want people who are able to speak to the things that they talk about, and then they may be able to also address any concerns that people have regarding the topic. So I'll just step aside for Moyosore to give a short presentation of the...
Round of applause for Mr. Toby Adebowale. Here.
I remember the first time I created a social media account. I was probably too young, and all of my friends were. Platforms truly safeguard youth privacy, We're asking if companies like Meta, Snapchat, and TikTok have the capacity and, more importantly, the willingness to protect the personal info of Nigeria from an invisible audience. Based on my research and perspective as a young Nigerian, my conclusion is that the architecture of these platforms makes them fundamentally incapable of being reliable guardians of our data. So let me is a term that describes the hidden world of data brokers, advertisers. In the legal sense, youth privacy refers to the right of young people, particularly the minors, to have the processing of their data Act 2023. So why did IPA is still quite principle-based, and it lacks hard rules on issues like privacy by default. Also, the Commission is new, and then it faces huge tasks regulating global tech giants. The law is a good foundation, but then the house is not fully built. So this leads to two major unresolved challenges that support my conclusion. We start with the age verification paradox. The law protects children, but how does the platform know that I am a child? Pursuant to the NDPA, I should, and then all the protections vanish. Then the second one is the algorithm black box. And it is important to note that the most hidden part of the invisible audience is not human, but the algorithm. Take, for instance, when I scroll on YouTube, the algorithm watches what I pause on and uses it to decide what to show me next to keep me hooked. So if I watch a sad video, it might push me towards a more extreme content, and this is a major legal challenge. How can the NDPC regulate? Now, platforms might defend themselves. They would say, oh, they provide free and valuable services, and strict rules could stifle innovation. But from my perspective, this defense fails. Innovation cannot be an excuse to exploit our data. The duty of care, as envisioned by the Nigerian Data Protection Act, must lie with the platform, not with our parents constantly trying to be on guard. So my conclusion is this, that we need a multi-pronged approach, and the NDPC must be strategic, and it should partner with civil societies like the Paradigm Initiative to amplify its impact. And most importantly, digital literacy should be woven into our school curriculum as a subject on its own. In final conclusion, ladies and gentlemen, the invisible audience is a permanent feature of our online lives. And while the Nigerian Data Protection Act 2023 is a welcome first step, my research lead me to find that it is not enough. And without tackling the issue of age verification and the black box algorithm, this audience remains, and trust me, it can be very hostile. So our privacy will not be gifted to us by platforms. It must be claimed through well-enforced laws, smart enforcement, and a smart generation. Thank you very much.
A round of applause for Mujidat one more time, ladies and gentlemen. Mujibat. Pardon. The T is silent. A round of applause for her one more time. Particularly, you know, it's rare to see your lecturer follow you to collect an award. You know, Abby, please, can you kindly appreciate her lecturer? Thank you so much for coming. Now, we need to present her with her prize. And to do that, please jam your hands together for Lolade Tijani. A round of applause for her. She comes up here.